broadband, and several other aspects of our national life and development. What more? The president also said that as it stands today, GDP to tax ratio is 13%, all the way from 10%. Now, he doesn't stop there. He goes ahead to say that by January, when the new tax laws come into force, we're going to see measurable improvements on that front. So we're going to spend the next few minutes highlighting all of these for you, so we understand the context within which the president did his 30-minute broadcast on this 65th anniversary of Nigeria's independence. I mean, Ramsey, you and I took our time to follow that broadcast, as they say, bumper to bumper. What were some of the things, if you don't mind sharing with our viewers, that stuck out for you while the president delivered that address?
I think one of the things that stood out for me is the recognition of the place of the youth,
right,
as nation builders, and the encouragement by the president to embrace things instead of violence, cybercrime, and the rest. Embrace things that will promote the country in terms of tech and other things. Then he also talked about the fact that the government is ready, okay, on their own part in the area of policy formation and of course funding, sponsorship. He used the word sponsorship, sponsor funding, policy and funding to at least facilitate the youth, all right, in carrying out these activities that would promote the nation's economy and bring about growth. And he also talked about the NEL Fund. He mentioned NEL Fund as part of what they have put together, and about 500 plus students are already enjoying this. The millions have gone down. About a number of universities in Nigeria enjoying, students from universities in Nigeria enjoying that right now. Then he also talked about the economy, that as it is, the economy is not where it is, even though we are not where we are expected to be right now. The federal government have a target of where they want to take the economy to, and in the process there have been ups and downs, you know, hunger, so many things, dwindling of the economy and all of that. Of course, it's part of the process to get Nigeria's economy to where it is meant to be. And in fact, the president from his broadcast so far, I think he sound all inclusive, and it gave me, from the broadcast, gave me an insight into the fact that the president is aware of what Nigerians are going through at the moment, and he has actually addressed it, that it is a process, a means to an end. You know, of course, very soon there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So what actually stood out for me is the recognition of the place of the youth, because youth are pivotal. You know, youth are the life wire of every nation, like everyone knows. And of course, if the youths are being carried along by any administration, it means that administration have a foresight. I think what Nigerians I feel what Nigerians will be thinking right now is, well, the president has spoken very well, but beyond having these things spoken out, the implementation, you know, and of course the action part of it is very important, because if the youths, all right, contrary to what they believe and what they have been used for by other politicians in the past, as it is being recorded by Nigerians, if that mentality is being changed and this administration is looking at the place of the youth and thinking about policies and sponsorship for everyone who have good idea for innovation and economic growth, I think it's a good one for me.
Exactly. There was also something that did stick out for me as well. That was when the president said that the worst is over. He said, yes, There are several errors. There are several, quite a number of challenges that should have been addressed decades before today. And every Nigerian who wants to be altruistic and authentic and dispassionate would agree that some of the issues we're dealing with today in 2025 ought to have been settled, or if you like, resolved decades before today, 10, 20, 30 years before now. But the president goes ahead to say that the good phase, his administration is turning the corner in these areas, ensuring that those mistakes are not only corrected, but it's also putting in efforts to make sure they are not repeated. And I like how he says the words. So yes, I know there are Nigerians who are going to put forth the argument of saying, well, this is the first time the president is sounded in this way. But the president has always been clear too, if we want to be, sincere here for a second, that look, first of all, this policy direction will bite real hard. He said that right from the day he took over, he came into office, that it will bite real hard. Nigerians will have to pay the price for the short term. But on the long run, it will be a win-win situation for everyone. Everyone indeed. And the president has also been very unequivocal about the fact that, look, nobody should show pity, because he knew the gravity, the enormity of work he was taking on right from the day he came into office. And the president has never switched that positions 2+ years down the line. So we are using this as a medium to just remind the president that Nigerians will continue for as long as he stays in office within the ambit of the Constitution, to remind him of this pledge that he has made, and it will always be part of the, key performance indicators by which citizens will measure the performance of his government today and every other time. We're taking a break now, everyone. When we return, we'll look at the papers for you, and as expected, Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary is a big highlight.
Now let's take you through the pages of the national dailies, even though most of the papers have joined Nigerians to celebrate independence, and of course we'll bring you the few stories that we have today, beginning from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. What are the headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning? Beginning from the Daily Trust newspaper, have some very important stories right here, and the first story is saying how a Rise presenter died, and the picture is right there. That's very pathetic. There's a colleague who actually lost her life yesterday over the weekend. All right, 20 fear died in Kogi boat mishap. The issue of boat mishap is becoming a recurring incident right now, and I don't know the measures. How many people get into this boat that put on a life jacket? The life jacket is actually meant for people who travel on the waterways, but then we keep having this boat mishap. what is the qualification for someone who ride these boats? How good, how sound are the engines of this boat? Who is looking at all of this? Do we even have people who check these things? All the places where boats are being used, I think it's necessary for us to have people who actually ensure that the boats are in order. Now we also have this headline, and it says, of course, the worst is over, says President Tinubu. We just talked about that just now. The worst is over, says President Tinubu. That's on page 13 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Nigeria's journey in 65 years. You just look at that and you see October 1st, the picture of the president right there. And of course, the write-up is right there for you to look at on your own. Those are the headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, thank you, Ramsey. Now time to turn to the Guardian newspaper for you. As we turn to the Guardian now, we'll begin from the headlines just immediately beneath the name master of its top left corner. It says, with a picture, by the way, of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, out-of-school children endanger Nigeria's security, Obasanjo warns. At 65, it's time for Nigeria to reclaim her independence. That's an editorial, yes, by the Guardian newspaper team. You can find on page 16. Concerns over insecurity, or concerns over rising insecurity, abduction in North Central. Lately we've been hearing of banditry in Kwara. I mean, who would have thought a day would come when Ramsey and I will be here and be citing insecurity at the level of banditry in Kwara. Well, we understand the state government, in collaboration with the federal government, is making moves to ensure that this doesn't become any more concerning than it already is. And we have a star headline for you as well. Nigeria at 65, that's your kicker. Tinubu hails reforms, says worst over, urges unity, optimism. We encourage you to read up those very incisive details on page 6. And then, as always, the Guardian has a very beautifully laid out infographics on its front page. It says, Greater Nigeria, Tinubu's building blocks. You can read all of those. They are well laid out in context from talks about $1 trillion economy target all the way to regional development, FDI and industrialization, oil production and energy, and so on and so forth. All right. Well, the Guardian is your point of call if you want to read up those details this morning. And it takes us to our next paper, which is the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, let's quickly get to the Vanguard newspaper this morning and see what the headlines are saying. On the Vanguard newspaper, above the nameplate, Dangote Bengasin, darkness loom as electricity generation fails. All right, that could be as a result of the fight between Dangote Refinery and Bengasin. Well, the federal government's intervention didn't actually resolve the issue yesterday, and of course, Usifo, the president of Bengasin, said, well, he felt disappointed, and all he is still insisting on is that the 800 or thereabout staff that were laid off should be recalled back. But till now, I don't think that has been done. And already, that's why we talk about petroleum. Petroleum tends to affect every other thing in Nigeria.
Right.
If it is not movement, if it is it's services, it's the home, it is businesses, now it is electricity. Well, I don't know, but I think something needs to be done. Celebrating our independence like this, we shouldn't be having this kind of situation. So at least Bengasin, then Nupeng, the government and Dangote Refinery should actually consider Nigerians. Good governance. Igbo-speaking people from 8 states honor Soludo. That's on page 38, and you see the picture of Soludo right there. Nigeria at 65. The worst is over. We've turned a new corner. That is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu speaking right there. That was in the broadcast this morning. Says all hands should be on deck for nation building. That's a rider. Then another rider says notes economy on rebound with 4.23% GDP growth, $42 billion reserves, lowest inflation in 3 years so far. Those are some of the achievements of this administration as it was broadcasted by the president this morning, even though some economists may want to make one or two inputs based on their own perception. Greater Nigeria, Tinubu's building block, and you have the building block right there, $1 trillion economic target. Then you have regional development, you have FDI and industrialization, human capital development, grassroots development, oil production and energy. We have security and peace, food security, infrastructure projects. These are Tinubu's building blocks. And of course, this is very, very interesting. If all of this is being taken care of, there are some bullets there to explain, just give you an insight into what these blocks are. Those are the size, that's the size of the headlines from the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, let's take a look. Thank you, Ramsey. I just wanted, before